Hi, thank you everybody for joining us. I am Lily. I am with the San Antonio Water System, and I am out at Mitchell Lake Audubon Center at the Lieber House with Mark Peterson, one of our conservation specialists, who is going to be showing us how to properly prune our perennials, hence the Art of Pruning Perennials. Sorry. Well, we've been having a few little technical difficulties, so my apologies for the awkward pause. Anyway, Mark is going to take us through the correct tools as well as the proper techniques. I'll be his assistant. We hope you enjoy. We're enjoying beautiful weather out in South Central Texas. We're in San Antonio, Texas, and we hope you enjoy the tips that can be applied everywhere. So, Mark?
Well, thanks, Lily. Yes, I want to make sure everyone understands about perennial pruning. We usually do it at this time of year, the last week of February or the first week of March in this particular area. Other parts of the country would have different times of the year that they prune. So we want to make sure everybody understands the proper tools that you're going to be using. So these are the various tools that we use, and the plant always determines which tool that you use. So big plants, big shrubs, big branches, we're going to use the big loppers right here. Smaller branches, we're going to use a little hand pruning tool that we have. And then plants that are bushy, low mound, have lots of branches coming out or leaves coming out, we're going to use the shears. Think of it this way, it's like a haircut. So you're going to be using a scissors on your plant hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on down. So temporarily I'm going to unmic, and my assistant will be coming through and helping me out. You can hear me and enjoy the lovely vegetation and birds and sunshine that we have. Oops, I did it. So I'm doing a little safety here. I'm putting on some lovely gloves. You can't see it in close up, but my hands are pretty scarred over the years from using saws and loppers and everything like this. So always one of the rules that we want to, two main rules. One, we always cut back to a branch or a bud. Always on that. So I'm going to cut back to a branch I've previously selected here. We're going to use it on this type of big shrub, so that we're going to level it out. We're going to take this piece of branch that comes out that's kind of sticking up. The other rule I always want everyone to remember is, and it's particularly applicable this time in South Texas, we've had a warm winter. So a lot of shrubs, a lot of perennials are still blooming a little bit, and a lot of people are afraid to cut them. So no, always remember that correct pruning, correct cutting does not mean kill. So let me quick do this one. And you're going to see the results very quickly. We probably should have done this. Look at that. If you would hold this for me, thank you. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are laughing about this because they've known I've done this for over 30 years. Now, if you look, you say, "Oh, that's pretty awesome that it's taking it all out." People, don't worry; it will fill in. This plant fills in very rapidly after it's been cut. So you notice also now we have this shrub that's all the same level. One simple cut has done that, and again, this is the time of year to do that. What we're going to move on is we're going to use the smaller pruners, and we're going to work on this particular tree over here because, if you notice, the big lopper, I was using a big branch. Now I'm going to go and move with the smaller loppers.
Mark, what kind of plant was that again?
This was a cenizo, otherwise known as a Texas sage. This particular variety was called Lynn's Legacy, after the famous botanist Lynn Lowry. All right, do we have to move this again? All right, again, pardon to the audience. And if anybody has any questions, anybody has any questions, please ask away. We're here to demonstrate and educate a lot of people on how to properly prune. Again, correct cutting, correct pruning does not mean killing. Do not be scared of using the proper tools. All right, so you see I'm in the midst of the shrubs here.
So before you get going,
Yeah.
we're being asked if you prune Sinisa only once a year.
Generally, yes. Now, why I hesitated for a moment. Many Sinizos, every 3 years we cut it all the way down to the ground. People are horrified, but generally we cut it down to about 3 to 6 inches all the way down to the ground. I'm going to show it on the plant behind me in a little bit here. But yeah, Sinizos can be cut pretty much all the way down. But we do that every about 3 or 4 years.
And why?
Why? Because when it grows up naturally and bushy. Remember, we're pruning to, I didn't say that. Okay, let me just tell you why a lot of people are worried about pruning this time of year. We're going to do it anyway this time of year because the reason we prune this time of year is to reduce the height of the plant. And by doing so, cutting it back all the way down to the ground, we encourage much more flowering later on in the year. So those are the reasons why we prune, even though they may have some flowers on right now. We're pruning it because we want those two things.
Is it possible to prune too heavily and kill it?
There are some plants where we do that. That is a problem. But normally, not so much. If you're taking good care of it, then no, that's not going to be a problem. Certain plants, and we can't show them because they're around the building. A lot of times, Salvia greggii is a woody type of plant. We don't usually do that but once a year, and we do that in the summertime. Because if you do it right now, it takes a long time for it to flower. So that is a really, really good question, but I want to get people over that fear of pruning. Actually, pruning is sometimes good. All right. So we got this plant. I'm in the middle of it here like this. So again, we always prune back to a branch or a bud. So this branch is lower than this branch. So I'm going to cut. See the two? Okay, can you get it? Everyone see it? Okay. See the two right here? We're going to, you'll notice it when I cut it right off. Again, I cut right a little bit before the branch, about 1/4 of an inch. Oh my goodness, look at that. I have just opened it up and reduced the height of the tree, or the shrub. So this one's kind of sticking up. Same thing. Where is the lower branch? Where's the lower branch? Oh my goodness, there we go. We've just cut it. We've reduced the height of the tree. Lily has warned me not to cut this. This is very important not to cut this. So, we can just go through.
Mark, how long have you been doing this?
Do I want to tell everyone my age on this?
Tell us about
I
your
have been over 30 years. I graduated from Michigan State in the last millennia, and worked in Chicago for land. For those who are calling from Chicago, Chicagoland, I worked there, and then I came down to Texas, and I worked for 23 years with the Texas Forest Service, and now it's almost 10 years now with saws. And I do anything that has to do with landscaping and water conservation.
Great.
Yeah.
We had another question about, are the roots more vulnerable when you trim so heavily?
No, because the tree is always in balance. So the question is, I understand what they're leading to on the question. So if I trim heavily, does it affect the roots? Generally, no. And for this reason is, they have stored all their energy from the previous year. That's why we do it in the spring. So they're going to use all that stored energy to put on new growth.
We also had another question about, can I trim Photonia? And I'm probably mispronouncing that.
Photinia?
Photinia.
Photinia is probably that was saying. Yes, you can do that the same way that you can cut it all the way back down to the ground. Generally, we cut it like we do on this one. We're cutting it back about halfway. So by the time I get done with this one, we may not have enough time while we're on the air for me to do this entire plant. But yeah, I would be cutting it about half. But we always want to do that. We do not want to shear, like I'm going to show. We don't shear big shrubs like Photinia. we go back and use the loppers or the pruners. We use the shears on those low-growing plants like the salvias or lantanas, kind of like the plants you see in the background here. We use that shears, but the thing about it is low-mounding plants or plants that have lots of little individual stems.
Like I'm saying, my rose bush has leaves. How much do I prune it?
Depending on the rose, you can cut it all the way down to the ground, but generally we cut, again, 2/3 to a half of the entire plant. And we do it. Yeah, we do roses right around Valentine's Day. So the end of February, first week of March is a great time to do it. All right. Now I need an assistance for somebody on here because I need my shears, if I could.
Yep.
All right. So are there any questions? Again, yes. Again, that we're here at Mitchell Lake Audubon Center. It's a great place, south side of San Antonio. This is where a lot, I was going to say but a lot of the plants, butterflies, travel as they travel down through to Mexico, Central America, South America. They stop right here. This is a great place to see butterflies and birds. All right. So with the difficulties of the microphone and everything.
They asked us about monarchs. This is a good place to also see monarchs.
This is actually we have several monarch way stations in this area. So yeah, you can come on down, and we have the plants, some of the milkweed, but a lot of the flowering plants that provide the nectar. A lot of people forget about that. The adults need a lot of nectar. The milkweed, which everyone thinks about, is actually for the larvae, where the eggs are laid and the larvae come out. So yeah, come on down. Great. All right. So this is Russellia. This is firecracker fern, one of my favorite plants. People use this plant. This is great, very drought tolerant, and it has very scarlet flowers. But it's getting a little out of control here. So what we're going to do is we're going to prune it. Now, don't be shocked. We are just going to go like this. Oh, Lord, look at it. He's cutting at everything.
And I was asked to what your favorite perennial is.
What my favorite perennial? I like salvias. I'm a big salvia person. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the technical difficulties.
Oh, he just grabbed the phone. Grab the phone, Mark.
I don't even know where it is.
It's right there.
Where am I? Okay.
Right there. Live. Awesome.
All right, everyone.
Hold on, Mark. We're not mic'd. Go down.
I want to quick do this to show everybody.
Yes, I'm still filming you. Okay.
Are we?
We're back. Sorry about.
Wait a minute.
Nothing like fun with microphone wire.
Everyone, welcome to for Michiganders. There's no. I was doing Ernie Harwell right there.
You can keep going.
You can go. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
He's tangled up on the mic.
We have plants. Plants and wires don't always.
While we take a look at the. We're going to hear while Mark untangles himself.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Now.
Nope. Now you're unplugged again.
Okay, I'm wandering over here.
All right. I think we're back.
Are we back?
We're back. So, thanks for
All right.
taking a wild ride with us there, huh?
We, I guess the last question was, what's my favorite perennial? And I love salvias. Reds and blues, actually even have some whites. Indestructible. And you basically do that every every February or March. You just go, and then that's it. And you do it again. Somebody had asked you earlier how many times a year you prune. Those types of plants like lantanas and salvias, you prune them this time of year and again first week of August.
Tell them who you are and what we're doing.
Oh, again. Yes. Hi, I'm Mark Peterson with Saws Conservation, expert extraordinaire on pruning. And we're here at Mitchell Lake Audubon Center in just south of San Antonio.
Okay. And which plant are you pruning now?
This is called Russellia or firecracker fern. It has beautiful red flowers on it, and it'll be flowering here in about 4 or 5 weeks. Again, some people are worried about, oh, it's going to flower, I don't want to cut it. No, we're actually reducing in size and then promoting more flowers by cutting it down right now at this time of year. So pruning is very, very important, but we're not going to be killing the plant. I always want to make sure on that because we're correctly pruning at the correct time of year.
And you're using what kind of cutters?
I almost cut the wire again. This is called head shears or shears. And the great analogy I make is the plants, whether you use a pruner or shears, the plant determines which one you're going to use. And you think about it, this is a great example right here. Think about it as low mounting plants or plants that have lots of little stems like this. Think about a haircut. You're using the shears on a haircut. So that's always a great idea.
Do you have to water more after pruning?
No, you don't have to water more. A good soaking later on is important, but it's not like more. So if you're watering maybe once during this time of year, in Texas we water once a month at this time of year. So if you give it water after that, that's fine. But you don't have to add extra water. You don't have to water like every week or every other week or anything.
Does reducing the size mean it needs less water?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, it needs less water. You are correct, it needs less water because it's not transpiring as much. Now, this time of year, most of these plants, even though they're green, they're pretty much dormant. So they're just breaking dormancy right now.
Okay.
And then, this has been a warm spring, so they're doing it a little early. Already we've seen one of our most popular trees in this area, Texas mountain laurel, put on flowers, which is a little early. It's about 10 days early.
Perfect. Okay.
Any other questions? Come on, bring them in. Let's talk about it.
All right. Nothing yet.
Okay. So, just want you see that I'm just indiscriminately just cutting down here. It looks very nice. It's like a haircut. Some people are better adept at this than others. But we're just trying to...
Mark, what don't you prune?
I'm sorry?
What don't you prune? What would you not prune?
That example I gave earlier, at this time of year, I seldom prune Salvia greggii, autumn sage. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on the spring, the winter time, whether or not it's frozen down. That's about it. Trees, however, this time of year, certain trees should not be pruned. Oaks, we seldom prune at this time of year because we're getting to the season where there's a possible infection of oak wilt, with oak wilt.
Should they prune their red yucca?
Should they prune the red yucca? They can. Now, I don't know if we can see it in the background over here, but that is a lot of red yucca that has a lot of coastal Bermuda in it. And come this Sunday, there's an opportunity for anybody in the San Antonio area to come on down to prune because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing pruning and pulling out a lot of that grass in there. So come on Sunday. The times are 8:30 to 11:30. Come anytime. If you're a master naturalist, you're going to get extra hours on that, and I think master gardeners as well. But come on down. I'll start off everybody pruning. I have to go a little bit after that, but come on down, do some pruning. It's a wonderful opportunity to do some stuff. To answer that question specifically, you never have to prune red yucca.
Okay. So now will you just go through the tools for us one more time so we can...
Absolutely. And we have some assistants coming in. Here we go. So, this is a loppers, and this gives me an opportunity because it was really hard to explain that. how you determine which size branch you use and whether you use the loppers or the pruners. In fact, this is a great way of saying it. You see that the diameter at the cradle, we call this the cradle, is different. If you can't get a branch into the cradle easily, you're going to have to go up for this one, you're going to have to use a saw. If it doesn't fit in this one easily, you move up to this one. So I should have started it that way. Too big to fit easily into the cradle of the hand pruners, you have to use a loppers. If it's too big for the loppers, you move up to the saw. That's a great way. So that's a really good way to determine which tool you're going to use. And again, if it's hairy, like a haircut, you're going to use the shears. So that's a great question, whoever asked that out there.
Can you use the shears to shape your singing stone if you don't want to get into...
Sure, you can do that. It kind of violates the pruning rule, pruning commandment of cutting back to a branch or a bud, but you could do it if you wanted to. It'd be a little careful. Okay, you could do that. But that's a little indiscriminate. And I've mentioned several times the pruning commandments. Anybody wants my pruning commandments, you can email me at gardengeek@saws.org, and I will send you those 10 pruning commandments.
Okay, great. So our last question is, how often should I sharpen my tools?
Every year. Sharp tool every year, preferably. I do it twice a year. Again, so my time of year that I'm pruning and recommending, strongly recommending, is in the springtime. So I'm going to do it in January, and then again in latter part of July, right before I cut again. So those 2 times is the times that I do it, but at least once a year.
All right, we'll just say bye to everybody.
Oh, I'm going to say bye to everyone. Again, if anybody has any questions and want to get a hold of me, then go gardengeek@saws.org. And we're going to say goodbye from the beautiful Mitchell Lake Audubon Center and the Leeper House. Everyone come on down. Remember, Sunday at 8:30.